What's up everyone, Vu of Vu Films, and I am back with another idiotic video for you to watch. In today's idiotic video, I'll be talking about my 2021 massive girthy mushroom tips for wedding filmmaking. I'm not here to tell you that, hey, I am like the greatest wedding filmmaker out there. I'm still a huge work in progress. I'm still trying to find my own way, trying to get better and better each and every wedding that I film. So much of these tips are actually just my own mushroom tips that I have came up for myself for 2021, which I decided to share with you good folks here on the YouTube douchebag space. So with that being said, let's get to tip number one. Massive mushroom tip number one is to always light properly. Use window light, natural light. Bring your own freaking lights. Just try to light properly every time. You walk into a hotel room, it has crappy tungsten lighting. Turn all the lights off and light it yourself. It's really not that hard. Of course, you have the window light, like I said, but lights like this, portable LED lights we have here are insanely cheap these days. Definitely could buy these for under $100, $50. They're all here. Even the lights behind me, which are these just stick lights that could do RGB as well as bicolor, always bring these lights with you. Have it in your backpack. Have them in your pocket like a cell phone. Always light properly. Maybe not even properly. Maybe you just need to light something. It makes your image look so much better than just settling for whatever crappy lighting you have available to you from the venue. If it is dark outside and there's not enough window light, try to create your own lighting. That being said, links in the description for the lights are below. Got 'em. Got 'em. Mushroom tip number two is pretty basic. Focus on storytelling. Always try to see what story you're trying to tell with this wedding. Yes, a wedding is pretty basic, right? Beginning, middle, and end. But within the beginning, middle, and end, prep, ceremony, and reception, there is a bit of beginning, middle, and end. The prep itself has a beginning, middle, and end. The ceremony itself has a beginning, middle, and end. And the reception has a beginning, middle, and end. Take advantage of each of these little parts of the wedding day to try to create a great wedding film. With that, I lead you to mushroom tip number three. Capture great audio all the freaking time. Now, I'm not talking about just making sure your levels are correct, having good audio equipment, miking the DJ, miking the officiant, miking the groom, miking the bride, having multiple different backup sources of audio whenever needed. I'm talking about the quality of the audio you're getting. Like I said, not the technical audio quality, but the actual audio you are getting from the bride and groom, which means ask them if they are going to be doing vows before the wedding. Also, if they're not doing vows, tell them, hey, it's a good idea for you to write letters to each other, read them, and I'll capture them. And I'll use those letters, the audio from the letters, to help build the story. Because without great audio, all you have is a bunch of images with music over the top, which is a very boring, very dull, very lackluster wedding, no matter how you do it. You could edit the crap out of it. You could be Sam Coulter of editors and edit this crazy wedding video, but it lacks depth if it doesn't have good audio. So focus on the technical audio, but also focus on the actual audio being captured. Vows, letters, good toast, whatever. Encourage the bride and groom to tell their bridesman and bridesmaid to tell some type of story during the reception speeches. They can make all the jokes they want. They can say all the stupid stuff they want. They could sit there and say, for all of you who don't know me, I am the bridesmaid, whatever it is, just make sure they tell a story during that reception, and it'll help you out greatly in telling the story when you are editing the wedding film. Moving on to the next tip, don't focus on what the photographer is doing. I know we all like to get those nice detail shots. It's great, okay? If it's there, take it. The rings are there, take the shot. If the dress is there, take the shot. If the invitations are there, take the shot. But don't spend an hour trying to get a ring shot. Don't sit there and put a bunch of lights on there, do all this fog smoke, all this water dropping, and do all this nice, crazy ad shots. You are not filming a K Jewelers ad. And I understand it looks fantastic. When you post it onto the Wedding Videographers and Wedding Film School Facebook group, all of the dudes will be bouncing your nuts off their chin. Such amazing ring shot. But to be honest, it doesn't really tell much of a story for the wedding. It's literally a 1 to 2 second shot of the rings that people gawk over that first time they see it. But then over time, it doesn't hold much weight for the film itself. Let the photographers get all of those detail shots. Let them get all of those nice invitation shots. Let them get all of those details. That's what they're there for. And if you focus on these individual photographs that photographers are getting, you end up losing out on the clip by clips that makes a film what it is. Each clip sets up the next clip, sets up the next clip, sets up the next clip for the film you're creating. It's like I said, if these details are there, rings, whatever it is, are there for you to take video of, take them. They make great cutaways. They may get transition points for your edit, but it should not be like a priority for your wedding film. Maybe it's just me. This is just my opinion. I just value the actual people, the actual moments that are happening, than the actual details of the wedding. That is pretty much just extra clout of a wedding day. Focus on the couple, focus on the people that are there, focus on the moments that are happening, and you should have a better overall story to tell than just a bunch of nice, clean shots of details. That's just me. I understand there's a lot of guys with different styles, and I'm not knocking that. Go ahead and do what you got to do. But for me, focus on the story, not on the details. Let the photographers do that. Next, focus on what the photographer is doing. By that, I'm saying you just have to be as mobile as they are. Pay attention to what they're shooting on. Are they shooting on 35 millimeter all day? Are they shooting on 50 millimeter all day? I can guarantee you that is likely what they're doing. 35 or 50. Most of them love their primes, and that's perfectly fine with me. Pay attention to that. Know that focal length. Know that you have similar focal lengths, whether it's a 24-70 they're using, whether you're using yourself a 35 prime or 50 prime on your camera. Know where they are, so when they move, you can also move. Because when you can move, when they move, you could avoid them getting in your shot, and you can avoid getting in their shot. With that being said, at least if you're a single shooter, you should be on a gimbal. If you have a second shooter or a third shooter, at least make sure one of you are on gimbal to be able to be mobile, to be able to move around as needed. Because if you're on monopod, if you're on tripod, the photographer could move in front of you, and then when you have to move that tripod or that monopod, it's going to be a problem. Whereas if you had a gimbal, you could move nicely and swiftly to the side, and it would be a nice moving shot as the photographer is coming your way. You can move. If you're standing here, the photographer's here, and they start moving over to you, you could also move, and you get like this nice panning shot with your gimbal. That does not mean you shouldn't communicate to the photographer that where you are. But let's be real here. You communicate and drill into your head where you're going to be, how you're going to shoot, whatever. They are going to sometimes just forget because they're working, they're on their camera, they're taking shots. And let's be honest here. As much as videography is growing in the wedding space, we are still not at every wedding. We are probably there maybe 15 to 20% of weddings on a good weekend. So these photographers are used to not having to work around other people, whereas videographers are always accustomed to having a photographer there. Every wedding we shoot, there's a photographer there. So we know what they're doing at all times. We have like an idea of how they work at all times. They don't necessarily have an idea of how we work. So even if we communicate with them, they're still going to sometimes get in your shot. So always prepare that they are going to do so and have a gimbal on you. Freely move with them. No issues. With that being said, the next tip on gimbal is to stop just getting gimbal shots. Like, be intentional with the gimbal shots that you're getting. Use the gimbal as a tripod. You don't have to always move while you're with the gimbal. You can just hold it still like this, get a nice steady shot, get a nice composed shot, shoot on a 50 on a gimbal, 85 on a gimbal. It's not always a wide angle shot on gimbal, people. Shoot at other focal lengths. Have a 24-70. Have a range of zoom. Have a zoom range for your gimbal. I like shooting on gimbal at 50 millimeters. Sometimes I would move to 35. Sometimes I do 85. Sometimes I do 24-70. Wide angle shots are usually for venue reviews or something epic you're trying to capture. But for storytelling shots, depth shots of the portrait of the couple, try to get something tighter. Be intentional with the gimbal shots. Don't just sit there and do 360s all day. Don't, go up to the couple's face all close at 24 millimeters thinking that's a nice shot. No, their face looks like absolute trash on a wide angle lens. So if you want to get closer to them, get a longer lens. Be intentional with the gimbal. Don't just run around with the gimbal because you can. My next mushroom tip, shoot for slow motion, but also don't shoot for slow motion. Again, this is tips really for me for 2021. If you have 4K 60 or even 1080 60, if you are a poor piece of douchebag trash who can't afford A7S3 or something else of that matter, I'm just kidding. Shoot 60 frames but don't always plan for that shot to be slow motion. Have the 60 frames per second just in case you need it. Or if you do decide to do slow motion for a particular scene, a kiss, a first look, whatever, great. But don't just shoot thinking that you're going to slow it down. Assume that it's going to be regular speed. Capture the shot. Capture the shot as is. Hold the shot. It could be 10, 20 seconds, even if it's the bride getting her makeup done. Just hold the shot. You never know what's going to happen. Someone might, her mom might come over to her, give her a hug, give her a kiss. You don't know. Hold the shot. Get a good, nice, let the shot breathe. Let the shot happen. And if you get something out of it, great. If you don't, no problem. But that slow motion, because you shot in 60p, can save your ass later when something happens and it just happens so fast, but you want that moment to breathe a little more. You want that moment to linger a little more in the film. You have slow motion there to back your ass up. My next mushroom tip, focus on each portion of the wedding. Like I said in the beginning, prep, ceremony, reception. Don't just breeze through prep. Don't just breeze through the ceremony. Don't just breeze through the reception. I've seen a lot of films where the ceremony is just like an afterthought and half the film is just portrait session. That portrait session should not be like your ticket to making a great film. Your ticket to a great film is the whole dang day. You have the whole day to get great footage. Get great prep footage. Tell the prep session as its own individual story. Tell the ceremony session as its own individual story. Tell the reception as its own individual story. And then put it all together to be one big story. There's a beginning, middle, and end to each part of the wedding, just as there's a beginning, middle, and end to the wedding film itself. Break the wedding into those three parts, and then you don't have to rely on photo session all the time to get a great film. Sure, definitely make sure you get some great footage of the bride and groom together, whether it be with the sunset, whether them be kissing, first look, whatever. Make sure you get fantastic footage there. Always make sure you get a great image. Always make sure you get good lighting. But at the same time, that should not be a crutch. You have the whole day to get good footage. And I've always thought of it this way. If I were for some reason lost all of my, for some reason, let's say my card got corrupted during the couple portrait session, or if, they're trying to travel to a different location and I had a flat tire in my car and I couldn't make it to their portrait session, I still have a wedding film to produce. That photo session should not be the end all be all of your wedding film. Next mushroom tip. Don't care for what the other filmmakers are doing. It took me a while to realize this, but you go through the Wedding Film School Facebook page, you go through Wedding Videographers Facebook page, and there are cliques, okay? It's just like high school in there. There are these cliques of filmmakers that kind of respect and think each other are like the best ones out there. And then there is the other videographers that pretty much worship them, and they can't hold their head up high because they're letting these other videographers' balls hold their chin down. What I'm telling you is don't focus on what these guys are doing. Don't focus on their films they're producing. Focus on improving yourself. Focus on your business. Focus on the wedding. Make sure you're prepared to film that wedding and follow these other tips that I just laid out, and you should be able to produce a great wedding film. Don't look at that next fancy edit you see and think that's the one that you're going to have to do. I've done those fancy edits. I've been there. It's doable. It's not even that impressive. You need to focus on storytelling because you're not here to impress other filmmakers. You're here to tell the story of the bride and groom you're filming. And to be quite honest, these other guys, they're not the ones bringing you clients. It's the couple that's going to bring you the clients. If that couple loves your work, they're going to recommend you to more people. If your work is good for theirs, that means whoever, all the guests that got to watch that film, some of them is going to hire you. Most of my work comes from referrals. Other wedding filmmakers are not going to get you more work. And then how do you get your motivation? How do you get inspiration for your wedding films? That is my next mushroom tips. Watch movies. Don't watch other wedding filmmakers' films. Watch movies. Pay attention to the shots they're getting. Pay attention to how the story is being told. Learn visually. I'm a visual learner. If you sat there and gave me a book on how to be a better storyteller, I can't do it. I can't even read, to be quite honest with you. But if I watch movies, good movies, indie movies, just watch everything you could find on Netflix, Christopher Nolan, whatever. Just watch how those movies are filmed. Watch how they're put together. Watch the shots. Examine the lighting. That makes you a better filmmaker. And then try to shoot the wedding the same way. And try to be just as intentional, and provide just as much depth into the wedding as you see these Hollywood directors do in movies. And that should make you a better filmmaker. I mean, there's definitely plenty of great wedding filmmakers out there. I'm not dissing wedding filmmakers, but sometimes, and I'm speaking for myself here too, when I watch too many other wedding filmmakers' films, it holds me back and it kind of keeps me in this same rut. Like I might get influenced by a couple of shots in another wedding film, and I notice myself during the wedding day doing that same type of shot. You know, that's the shot that you're just kind of handheld panning around the bride's bouquet, that kind of shot. Like these, we get influenced too easily by what we watch. So if you're watching a bunch of other wedding films, all the shots that you see from these wedding films are ending up being the same shots that you come up with on the wedding day. And sometimes it's good if you're a beginner, but if you're trying to like improve and just get yourself to the next level, watch movies. That's why movies cost billions of dollars to make. That's all there is to it. And now for my last massive girthy mushroom tip, just for you, just for my YouTube douchers that watch all the way through to the end. If you own a Canon camera, get rid of it. Canon is trash. Buy any other equipment brand other than Canon. Sony, highly recommended because I am a Sony douchebag fanboy with Sony balls all up in my pubic hair, beard, chin, and I would recommend you get that. Fujifilm, Panasonic, whatever, Blackmagic even. Blackmagic Backpack 4K. Don't know why it's called Pocket still. It's a massive camera. It should be Blackmagic Pocket 4K. That's where you put it, your backpack. You can't fit that in your pocket. If you were able to put the Blackmagic 4K, 6K in your pocket, you just look like you're walking around with some massive set of balls, which is not a bad thing. But with that being said, just get rid of your Canon. I'm just kidding. It does not matter what you film with. Okay? Yes, these new cameras that are out right now, ESR5, Sony, whatever, they're going to make your life easier. it's gonna, you know, open more doors for you with color grading and give you more opportunities to crop in and out with the 4K, give you nice crisp 60p. But, you know, it's not going to make a movie, it's not gonna make your film necessarily better or worse. It's really up to you and how you film it. Your gear does not matter. And I'm just kidding with you Canon guys. It's just complete joke. Don't cry about it, all right? Don't get all Sony a7S III ISO sensitive on me right now. Okay, it's a new year, it's a new you. Let's get on with life. With that being said, guys, that is my list for myself for 2021 on how to improve my wedding films. And I hope sharing with you may help you improve your wedding films as well, especially if you are just starting off. Maybe you're into it just as much as me, or maybe even if you're a little more advanced and hey, you want to do some other stuff. I appreciate you watching this content. If you appreciate it, if you like it, please remember to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and until next time, lighten up.